I've clicked onto the global tropical overview for January the 1st, 2024. As is always the case in these videos, the project pressure amount alone, and when making decisions have any tropical cyclones, look to the local weather office, local emergency management, and local tropical cyclone warning center. Happy New Year, everybody. We're now tracking Tropical Storm Alvaro in the Mozambique channel. You can see it right here on your screen. This is the coastline of Madagascar on the eastern side of the screen, and this is Mozambique on the western side. It's right in the middle of the Mozambique channel. Now, the system did get named since my last video, and it has gotten a designation from the Joint Typhoon Warning Center as well. As the system is a tropical cyclone, the ASCAT pass yesterday was sufficient enough for designations, and further development on satellites was also more sufficient. But you can see right now the system is looking pretty healthy, all things considered, with the convection pretty deep, and it's actually trying to wrap around. It looks like it is trying to wrap around into maybe an inner core structure, and the question really until landfall is, will this inner core structure be able to be built in time for maybe some increased intensification right before landfall? Now, the system is having a bit of struggle right now. The system is likely dealing with some dry air issues. You can see if you look on the northern side of the system here, and you have to sort of focus your eyes onto it, but if you look beneath the outflow layer, you can see some darker colors beneath that, sort of streaming in from the west. And this might be an indication that some dry air is getting entrained into the circulation. And the effects of this can be seen on the microwave pass that we got earlier in the day. You can see the strong band of convection consistent with what we've got on satellite right now. But if you look around the center, we have a little bit of convection, but it's not a fully developed core. And alongside that, you've got this little notch on the eastern side, which might be that dry air getting entrained into there and disrupting the eastern side and the northern side of this inner core. And this is good, obviously, because right now this is limiting the system from rapidly intensifying. If it did get itself together, I wouldn't be surprised if we would have seen some significant intensification. This is a pretty favorable environment. There's a little bit of shear, but we also have really good outflow to the south, and this could have aided a pretty favorable intensification phase for the storm. But the dry air is being our friend here and keeping the inner core at bay. So really up towards landfall, the main thing that we're going to be watching for is, how does this convection evolve over the coming hours? Does this convection manage to wrap around and close off an eye? And how much intensification does occur between now and then? Right now, the current expectation is a little bit of intensification, potentially close to cyclone status. Some models have been trying to hint at the system getting towards cyclone status as it comes towards the coastline. But right now, Mateo France is forecasting, I believe, a severe tropical storm. Now, we are still having some uncertainty right now on the exact speed of the storm when it comes into Madagascar. Just as a reminder, the main steering feature right now is this mid-level trough that is in place south of Madagascar. This is bringing a bunch of westerly flow over the storm, and this is drawing it towards Madagascar. But in the low levels, we have a little bit of a ridge here, trying to nose in south of Madagascar. And we've had some different solutions here on the GFS and the European on exactly how strong this ridge is. You can see that we have this one ridge here, south of Africa, but we have another one here southeast of Madagascar. And if we look at the European, these ridges are both a little bit stronger, and they're able to connect a little bit more towards the south. And this is a very subtle difference, but this subtle difference is important because with this ridge, these two ridges being able to connect, you have a little bit more flow towards the southwest on this run. And that's why the European, like I showed you yesterday, is slower with the storm. And of course, the question is now, which model is correct? Is the GFS or the European more correct here? Something I have noticed in the runs, and I'm going to show you some of the past runs, pay attention to the isobars here with these ridges, and pay attention to how they move as I go back through some other runs. You'll notice that the isobars do change a bit, but in general, as we go towards the current run, we've seen these isobars get a little more expansive on the GFS, a little bit closer together. And alongside that, we've seen the storm trend a little bit farther, or a little bit slower. So you can see as I go through these runs, and right now I'm going to be going to the current run, the storm slows down on the model. And this is an indication that the GFS is trying to play a little bit of catch up to the European, that it may have modeled the ridge a little bit too weak. Now you can also see this on the European. It also had the ridge a little bit weaker. You see the isobars were not connected, but in recent runs, it has started to connect those isobars. And same with the GFS, the storm has been trending a little bit slower on the model. What this tells us is the solution of a storm tracking a little bit slower might be a little more favored here with these ridges in place, or these ridges a little bit more stronger than models had expected earlier. So we might be looking at, the potential for more rainfall across Madagascar. Now, this is a current forecast track from Meteo France. You can see the storm here in the Mozambique Channel and becoming a severe tropical storm before it comes in. And again, timing-wise, we're talking about in about a day, this system will be coming in to the coastline of Madagascar. Now, once it does come ashore, the winds will die down pretty quickly. There is pretty high topography here, and that typically rips apart any tropical cyclone that goes over the island. But pretty slow movement here. It can be anticipated, and we could get some very heavy rainfall. Unfortunately, one of the aspects of higher terrain, they are good at squeezing out a lot of the moisture with tropical cyclones, and we may see some significant rainfall there. But eventually, the system will be coming off the coastline of Madagascar, and the Meteo France does forecast re-intensification into a tropical cyclone, but then becoming a non-tropical cyclone as it tracks southeast away from Madagascar and La Réunion and Mauritius. This is the current forecast track as well from Meteo Madagascar. I believe this is the same forecast from Meteo France, but this is just showing you the cyclone alerts that they have in place. You can see yellow watches here. I believe these are just yellow alerts for these select regions in Madagascar, and these may be expanded further inland as time goes on, and I think these are time-based, so come tomorrow we'll probably have more impacts, or sorry, more watches and alerts in place, and I guess higher grades of it. I'm trying to find the right words there. But a significant storm either way coming into Madagascar, and rainfall, we may see totals upwards of 100 millimeters or greater in some areas. The highest rainfall, it's a little bit hard to pick out. You could get a trailing rain band that may come in to a localized area, and you could have the maximized rainfall there. And exactly where does that localized band of rain set up? Not exactly too sure. That is very hard to forecast, and it's very dependent on various factors, but also where exactly the storm tracks. You can see there is a little bit of uncertainty here if it comes a little bit further south or a little bit further north, and that could dictate rather who gets the maximum amount of rainfall. So the most important thing you all can do now in Madagascar is stay tuned to your local weather office. I'll leave a link to Meteo France and Meteo Madagascar at the top of the description, so you can go right to their website and get that information when you need it as the system comes through. I'll probably try to have one more video out on this storm before it makes landfall, but if I don't, stay safe in Madagascar, and I will see you all in the next video whenever the tropics are awaking again. But Happy New Year, and stay safe, and that's it for now. Thanks for watching.